Well. Here we are for a special edition of rants, I would say, because usually I've been doing cop rants and cop related everything. But today, which 10 minutes at the most, um, we are going to talk about the vice presidential candidates of Tim Walz and JD Vance because I figure I'll throw my 2 cents since there seems to be a lot of ridiculousness going on with it. And let me preface it first by saying uh, both of them served honorably. Both of them are veterans. Only one is a combat veteran, but we'll get into that. Both of them deserve to be commended for their military service. Now, with that, the reason I am even making this video is because it's driving me nuts that so many people so quickly started busting out this hierarchy that military members have always done. We've always busted out this hierarchy of, oh well, you're you didn't deploy. Oh well, you went to a combat zone. Yeah, but you're not a combat arms MOS. You're just a pogue. You're just a fobbit. You're this. You're that. You only had one firefight. You're not a ranger. You're not special forces. You're not this. You're not shit. But now it's like bleeding over because of the politics into the civilian world. So now there's civilians out there, including Nancy Pelosi, who's definitely not a veteran, commenting about veteran service, commenting about, oh well, JD Vance, he didn't see combat. So now we're gonna start making these arbitrary ass distinctions of where, oh well, you're in a combat zone, but your job it's kind of doesn't matter. It's absolutely ridiculous. So that's why I figure, hey, I'll make a video of it. So where to start? First, I'm gonna use here. I'm gonna start right here at one of the main pictures that's going around on Facebook and Twitter of all this nonsense. So we can talk about all the lies. So here's one of the main pictures. This is just like I did make a comment to troll some people and get some people riled up, but this picture is what I want to focus on. That is a clear lie, but yet we have all these people who have never served in the military and have no idea what they're even looking at jumping on board on the bandwagon. So this is how they try and describe JD Vance's service to Tim Walz's. Oh well, he's just a military job. His military job is just a correspondent, but he's a command sergeant major. Number one, he did not retire as a command sergeant major. He got bumped back down to master sergeant because he didn't even complete his schooling. And again, we're going to get into that. But we're just going to start right here. Okay. Served 4 years. He served 24 years. They say that the awards that JD Vance got was only a Navy Marine Corps Achievement Medal and a Marine Corps Good Conduct Medal. They conveniently left out about half of this on Tim Walz's side that he also earned, which can be proven by his DD 214, but we're just going to go off of this for now. So, as a preface, Walz did serve most of his time, almost his entire career, before the wars kicked off. So I'm sure the awards weren't as plentiful for them. But here we go. We're gonna do a little side by side comparison. Okay, Army Commendation Medal and two Army Achievement Medals. All right, Navy Marine Corps Achievement Medal, equivalent to an Army Achievement Medal. So those scratch out right there. So he got an Army Commendation Medal and another Army Achievement Medal, which I've known E4s with like 3 years on that have gotten more awards than that. So again, maybe it's because he served mostly during peacetime that was, and I could almost assume because Walz went to Italy, he did a mobilization in Italy. Deployment maybe, but it's a mobilization. I guess you could say deployment because it was overseas to Italy to do base security during OEF. So that's probably where the Army Commendation Medal came from. And then two, again, Army Achievement Medals, which as we go down the list here, I'll show how that's kind of odd. So, Army Reserve Component Achievement Medal. Again, this is all the fluff. What is an Army Component, Army Reserve Component Achievement Medal do? Even though it says Achievement Medal, it is literally the Reserve Good Conduct Medal. That's it. So he got 6 of those because it's one, you can get one every 3 years. So these scratch out. He got a Good Conduct Medal. He got a Navy Achievement Medal. National Defense Service Medal. It says Tim Walz got 2 of them because he was in during 2 times that the National Defense Service Medal was authorized. One for the Gulf War and one for Iraq and Afghanistan wars. Later on, the global war on terror, basically. So, again, here comes the first thing that was conveniently left out of JD Vance's side here. JD Vance also has a National Defense Service Medal because everyone, every single person that served during these times gets a National Defense Service Medal. Everyone. The reason that Walz has 2 is because there was a break in between when the National Defense Service Medal was authorized. Global War and Terrorism Service Medal. You know what Walz got that for? Because I know, even without even having to do any research, he got that for deploying to Italy for serving during a capacity during the Global War on Terrorism. Guess who else has a Global War on Terrorism Service Medal? JD Vance. Although, maybe only because of the time frame, he may not have the Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, but I think he does according to DD-214. We'll look at it. But he'll have the Iraq Campaign Medal. Because early on in the years of Iraq, they didn't have an Iraq Campaign Medal, so they're giving him Global War on Terrorism Service Medals instead. Armed Force Reserve Medal, 5, with M device, 1. That's not a 5, because that would mean 5 like deployments or mobilizations, and that's not correct. We're gonna go right to the check because this is probably a straight up lie here. Where's these armed forces? This is his DD-214, by the way. Let's see, Army Service for blah blah blah. Armed Forces Reserve Medal with M device. So there's no 5. These idiots printed it wrong or read it wrong and decided that was a 5. It's not a 5. Armed Forces RES Medal, Reserve Medal with M device. That's it. That's it. So it's not 5. He got 1 of them with an M device. M means mobilized. That's it. And he should also have, for this Armed Forces Reserve Medal, he should have a like an hourglass. But it's not in here for some reason because I have one of those. NCO Professional Development Ribbon. He got that literally for going to his NCO school. That's it. Which corporals, I believe, have school for JD Vance. So he should have gotten one of those. But I don't think the Marine Corps has one of those for that. Army Service Ribbon. You literally get a Army Service Ribbon for joining the Army. Everyone. Every single person in the Army has that. So again, they're just pumping this up. Reserve Component Overseas Training Ribbon. He did 4 of those. And if he actually did 4 of those, and he only has 2 Army Achievement Medals and an Army Commendation Medal, that's a little weird that you're not getting awards for going overseas to train. And again, one of the things that it's missing from JD Vance, his sea service ribbon, which pretty much is the same thing as an overseas training ribbon, slightly different. But let's look at that. Overseas Reserve Component Overseas Training Ribbon. That's probably a lie too. Minnesota Service Ribbon, maybe? I don't know what that is. Let's see. GY. This should be like in the descending order of where they fall. But Armed Forces Reserve Medal. Let's see, GY. It's got to be a guard thing, because he was Minnesota National Guard, right? So yeah, because he was Minnesota. It's got to be a Minnesota one. MN something Minnesota Service Ribbon. It's those have got to be National Guard ones. So where the heck is his overseas training ribbon? All of his stuff is here. For his reserve medal. Maybe this ARCOTR. Reserve component overseas training ribbon. It's got to be that. Overseas training ribbon. Okay, so it says that he got 4 of those. Again, his awards don't really add up. All right, so we're already at 11 minutes. So I'm going to try and speed this up a little bit to get to my other points. Here's my other points. That the bullshit like this that they're trying to spew, saying, "Oh, JD Vance isn't as much of a combat vet as Walz, who never was a combat vet." There's only one of these two right here that could join a VFW, and spoiler alert, it's not the one that looks stacked. Okay, so again, this is my preface. As I said in the beginning, what drives me nuts is the civilians that are trying to dog both these veterans. Veterans have earned that right to separate and categorize other veterans based off of their service. Not civilians. That's where it gets ridiculous. And I just wanted to point out the discrepancies and the ridiculousness of JD Vance's service and Tim Walz. Again, for those who didn't know, JD Vance went to Iraq. He was deployed to Iraq. He spent, according to his DD214, because we have it right here. By the way, shout out to Stolen Valor, his Twitter/X, because he has a whole thread on this, and he's very good. He does this for a living. He pulls these guys' DD214s, mostly for Stolen Valor people, and prints them. Ooh, excuse me. So, this is JD Vance's. I know the name looks weird, but that's because JD Vance legally changed his name. So, combat correspondence, 3 years, 4 months. But altogether, he did like 4 years on the dot. He did 5 months, 24 days active duty. Well, in Iraq. So, what was my whole point of this? My whole point again is that all the nonsense needs to like dissipate with all the civilians trying to dog these guys. Both of them served. Both of them served honorably. That's cool. But the distinction is JD Vance only did 4 years. Tim Walz did 24 years. Now, let's talk about the last point I want to make is how Tim Walz, people try and say, oh, well, he did serve 24 years honorably, all that stuff. Yes, he did. It was honorably. But he did not retire as a command sergeant major. There's multiple facts that we know that you can Google, you can look up, whatever. He was in the Sergeant Major's Academy. He was midway through it. And the Sergeant Major Academy that he was in was an online, they were correspondence courses. So it was an online coursework. Not only was he in the Sergeant Major's Academy, he was frocked. He was frocked to Sergeant Major, which means he was given that position and that title and saying, hey, once you complete the steps to get Sergeant Major, then we'll give it to you. So with that, his intention was to stay in for longer. You don't go into the Sergeant Major's Academy, which is a bachelor's equivalent level coursework, and you don't take a command sergeant major position in a battalion. He was a battalion command sergeant major for a field artillery unit if you don't plan on staying around. But the biggest sticking point that a lot of people that are on his side or on the Democrat side say is, oh well, he did his time, he retired, and oh well, his unit didn't get a what's the term I'm looking for? Like a notice to deploy, essentially a mobilization order, until 2 months after he retired. Okay, spoiler alert: when you're that high up at a battalion level and higher, you get warnings of mobilizations 2 to 3 years out. Now, could it have been slightly different because this was like 2005 or 2006 that he went? Maybe, but all of these guys at that level, they go to yearly training meetings or yearly briefings where they have a 3 to 5 year projection plan for all these units. And I guarantee you, even with a unit like this going to Iraq, I guarantee you they knew well ahead of time, well over a year ahead of time, because you have to plus up your numbers. You have to and be ready across the board with numbers, with metrics. So, like, make sure that all of these soldiers that you have in your unit are medically qualified, that have the right training, all that stuff. And there's a lot of preparation work to deploy. So I guarantee you, Walz knew about the deployment when he dropped his retirement paperwork. I guarantee it. And for him to leave the unit hanging like that, when you took a sergeant major spot to lead an entire battalion, which is like 600 soldiers, and then to retire before they deployed Iraq is it's kind of shitty. It's not the worst thing I've seen in the military, that's for sure, but it is kind of shitty. And then to start playing these games of, oh well, I'm an OEF, veteran. Okay, is he an OEF veteran? Technically, yes, because he served during that time, and he deployed to Italy for base security, in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. So, is he an OEF veteran? Yes. Is he a combat veteran? No. Is he v- does he qualify to join the VFW, the Veteran of Foreign Wars? No, he doesn't. So it's a fine line that all politicians play, and I do look forward to in another couple days, if not maybe a week at the most, that the internet and Facebook and X and Twitter and all, everyone can move on and we can get to the real problems other than just two veterans clashing each other about who's got more veteran experience, and then all these civilians that come out of the woodwork that want to try and comment about it, just like just like on the right hand side. No comparison. Waltz is a dedicated American. So is JD Vance. He served. He's got a lot of nerve trying to insult a 24-year veteran. No class. That's what veterans do. They insult each other and they play the game of who did more in the military. E5 is expected by the time he served 4 years. Someone is subpar. Wrong, especially in the Marine Corps. Wrong. So, anywho, that's my whole point. I kept it less than 20 minutes. Not too bad. So, in summary, let me wrap this up here. The whole point I want to make this video is that to show that both of these guys served honorably. And yeah, there's going to be a little mudslinging between them, but that's fine. They're both veterans. They can handle it, and they can talk about each other's careers. You don't need to get civilians mixed up in it when you start having civilians like Nancy Pelosi, who on record said, who challenged the reporter. Where is it? There you go. Her is, has JD Vance ever been in combat? And she shoots back, has he? Has he? I'm sorry. Here's the statement. JD Vance has criticized Walz has never been in combat. And Nancy Pelosi says, has JD Vance ever been in combat? Yeah, he was in combat zone. So, spoiler alert, when you're in a combat zone, even if you're in a nice, cushy desk job and you're in air conditioning, the rockets still come in, and they don't care where you are located. They're gonna find you. So, this one was a little bit longer, 20 minutes. Hopefully, I had some good information here. I know I rambled a little bit with the service history and stuff like that, but for anyone who has not served in the military, maybe it was a little beneficial for you to hear that. If not, sorry, it was a little long, but I am gonna cut it off here because no one's really gonna watch it this long, anyways. But yeah, here's my special military edition of my rant videos, and pretty much all my other videos are all cop videos. So that takes care of that. All right, take care. See you guys next time. Bye.